So again, it would just apply to the unincorporated areas of San Diego. This is going to become relevant when we talk about Measure L, which affects Encinitas. So if we go, recent voter approved changes to the state law has led to interest by cannabis businesses to open in the unincorporated area of the county. If such businesses are authorized, they're likely to create demands on county services. In order to regulate cannabis facilities and have adequate funding to provide essential public services, the county proposes a cannabis business tax with revenues to be deposited in the county's general fund. There are actually already 5 authorized cannabis dispensaries in the unincorporated area. So the proposed San Diego County Cannabis Business Tax is part of what the county is calling their socially equitable cannabis program, which is still in development. This program is designed to stop the operation of unlicensed dispensaries, advance social equity by reducing barriers to entry into the cannabis business ownership, and ensure all state regulations are followed. So in order to understand Measure A and L, we need a little background. So some incorporated cities in the county already impose charges on cannabis businesses beyond California's 15% excise tax and local sales taxes. So in everywhere, people have to pay a 15% excise tax on cannabis. But some cities, incorporated areas in the state and local area already impose another tax in addition to that. For example, the city of San Diego, Chula Vista, La Mesa, and other places already have another tax on top of that excise tax, and Encinitas is considering such a tax. So this measure would then change the county's code of regulatory ordinances to create a new tax, an additional tax on cannabis businesses that operate in the unincorporated area of San Diego. This tax would allow a maximum gross receipts tax on quarterly retail sales of 6%, and then would in addition have lower taxes for manufacturing, distribution, cultivation, and testing. The tax, again, would be above and beyond that 15% excise tax and any local sales taxes. It would allow the Board of Supervisors to change the rate of the tax, but not repeal the tax or set a rate higher than that maximum 6% amount without voter approval. The levy would, they would levy the tax only on activity conducted in the unincorporated area if a business operates both within the unincorporated area and outside of it. Direct tax revenue would be used for general, not specific government purposes of the county, including parks, fire safety, roads, health, and social equity. It would also provide a tax relief provision in the event of a disaster or crop failures of cannabis cultivation. Financially, Measure A is estimated to generate about 2.9 to 5.6 million in revenue annually from the gross receipts of cannabis businesses in the unincorporated area of San Diego County. The county's estimated net annual costs to administer the tax would be somewhere around $300,000 and 2.5 additional staff years in the treasurer, tax collector, and auditor controller departments. If new dispensaries or other cannabis operators beyond the current 5 existing cannabis dispensaries are brought forward to the Board of Supervisors by the county land use and environmental group, the county could make commercial cannabis permits available in the unincorporated area in the spring or summer of 2024. Okay, so we look at the supporters. You can see that the supporters are on the left here, and their arguments are that Measure A is a bipartisan solution to advance a safe, regulated, and legal adult cannabis market in San Diego County, keeping tax revenues within the county to fund parks, fire safety, roads, health, social equity, and increased enforcement of illegal cannabis operations. The tax will be paid solely by cannabis business in unincorporated communities. If you look at opponents, here are the opponents again on the left. They say that due to the fact that the revenue from this tax will go to the county's general fund, there's no guarantee that this tax will support the stated goal of achieving social justice for those who have been impacted by cannabis-related criminalization. They also say the tax is unfair because it only applies to businesses in unincorporated San Diego County, while the revenue can be used for any unrelated program the county chooses. So programs both in the unincorporated and incorporated areas. And these opponents say that since the tax only applies in the unincorporated San Diego County areas, those voters should be the only ones allowed to vote on this measure. So in summary, a yes vote means you're in favor of imposing a cannabis tax, business tax, in the unincorporated area of the county. No means you're against imposing a cannabis business tax in the unincorporated area of the county. Okay. Oh, we're going, I see. Dottie, are you going to do this one? Dottie?
I can do it.
Yeah, I didn't think we were going to talk about this one. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Well, hold on then. I can deal with that too. Hold on just a second here. Let's see.
Or do we want it? I didn't know if there were many people here.
You know what? I pulled out the Escondido ones. I didn't pull out the other ones, but we can hop right.
Why don't we hop to L, and then if there are questions on this one, we can come back to it. Yeah.
There we go. How's that?
L kind of goes with A. So we're going to jump to L because it's connected to A. So as I said, there are a lot of incorporated areas in the county that have a business tax on cannabis sales. Measure L would impose a general tax on cannabis businesses in Encinitas. So again, Encinitas voters in November 2020 passed Measure H, which allowed for a minimum of 4 cannabis businesses, along with non-retail businesses such as cultivation, manufacturing, and distribution. The Encinitas City Council has since established a process for cannabis business permits and adopted rules needed to implement Measure H. However, Encinitas, unlike some of the other incorporated areas, does not have a structure to tax cannabis businesses. Measure H was actually a citizen initiative and did not contain any business tax provisions. So Measure L, and just for example, the county of San Diego, as I mentioned, is considering the 6% tax in the unincorporated areas, and the city of San Diego has an 8% tax on cannabis businesses. So Measure L would allow the Encinitas City Council to impose a cannabis business tax of between 4 and 7% of the retail price, product price, and 1 to 4% on non-retail proceeds, except for commercial cannabis cultivation or commercial industrial hemp cultivation, which would be taxed at a lower rate. The City Council submitted Measure L to the ballot. The proposed cannabis business tax is a general tax. Measure L would take effect 10 days after certification of the election. The measure passes with 50% plus 1 vote. According to the Encinitas City Attorney's impartial analysis, the cannabis business tax is expected to generate an estimated $8 million to $1.4 million annually. Encinitas has not provided an estimate of increased cost to the city with the addition of the cannabis businesses. So supporters, again, you can see the supporters on the left. Again, they say that revenue generated from the cannabis business tax can be used to mitigate impacts on the safety, law enforcement, fire protection, emergency medical services, traffic, parking, and other services. Funds generated from Measure L can assist Encinitas in closing illegal cannabis businesses. The cannabis Business tax will be a new source of funding, and all taxes stay in Encinitas. So, a yes vote means you approve establishing a tax on gross receipts on cannabis businesses in Encinitas. No means you will oppose establishing a tax on the gross receipts. So again, similar to Measure A.
And I want to pause for a time check here.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
So
I'm not sure at what time we're expected to finish up. There are two other local measures, one to refurbish a pool in Carlsbad and the other one to increase the sales tax in San Marcos. And so I don't know
Beach,
if we have time for those or
Dottie, I think it's to increase the sales tax in Solana Beach by 1%.
Solana Beach. Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Okay. Well, we do have to end at noon, and we do have some business that we kind of postponed until the end. So I would say you probably should finish with questions and answers no later than like probably 1/4 or 10 till at the latest.
Okay. Well, let's
the Solana Beach one is pretty straightforward.
I'm kind of thinking
so we could cover that one and then stop, I think.
Yeah. All right. So here we go. So this is Measure S, and it would adopt an ordinance to increase the tax on retail sales by 1 cent, and it would increase the total sales tax to 8.75%. And the current 2022 sales tax in Solana Beach is 7.75, which includes the base tax rate of 7.25 and the County of San Diego's 0.5 transnet local tax administered by Sandag. Of the 7.25 base tax collected by the state, the city of Solana Beach receives 1% directly. The average sales tax in California is 7.25%. In recent years, the city reports that it has not received adequate revenue from existing sources to build needed road, park, and infrastructure projects. The proposed increase of the sales tax by 1% that's actually 1 cent, would raise the city of Solana Beach sales and use tax to 8.75%. If the measure were to pass, Solana Beach would join Oceanside, Imperial Beach, Vista, La Mesa, El Cajon, and Del Mar as San Diego County cities that have an additional local tax above the 7.75% standard. The vote must be 50% plus 1 of the votes cast in order to pass. An overview of this is that on July 13th, 2022, the City Council approved a proposal to allow the voters of the City of Solana Beach to establish an additional 1 cent sales tax. The revenue is to maintain and prevent cuts to city services such as maintaining streets, parks, beaches, infrastructure, and storm drains, paramedic and 911 emergency response, fire protection, traffic management, trash removal, addressing homelessness, and other services. The city is anticipating about $3 million in additional annual revenue from the increase of the 1% sales and use tax. The new sales tax revenue would be audited and reported upon as a separate fund in the annual independent audit for all general fund revenues. So on the left side of the screen, we have the supporters. Measure S will keep the money raised in Solana Beach. It allows more investment in park and road improvements and continued top-notch fire and sheriff services. Supporters note that since much of the city's sales tax revenue comes from visitor spending, it allows non-residents to help fund local services. There were no arguments received opposing Measure S. And a yes vote means that you are in favor of the 1 cent sales tax increase. A no means that you are opposed to this sales